My name is Michael Rühle. I used to be a member of the international staff of NATO, worked there for 32 years in a number of different jobs. I was a speechwriter for several secretaries general, was in policy planning, and later on in energy security, climate security, and hybrid. I have been here several times, but over a course of 30 years. I think it has evolved in line with the evolving security environment. It has become bigger in the sense that the number of countries involved much higher now. It also has become broader in terms of the subjects you're dealing with, in line with a more complex security environment. So the questions that you seek to answer today are not all identical with the questions we looked at in the 1990s. Well, my first goal was to show that while NATO and EU are two very different institutions with although mostly overlapping membership, they more and more work with reference to one another. It was important to get the point across that the two major institutions that we have in Europe should really try to sing from the same song sheet when it comes to responding to modern threats. I think they should take away from today's lecture that institutions may come from very different angles. They may have very different toolkit, but that today's environment forces them to work together more closely. And for diplomats, of course, it means that if you're a NATO diplomat or a future EU diplomat, always look at what the other cousin in Brussels is doing, because eventually you will have to work with him. I think it's very important that future diplomats, future military leaders know each other. And I've seen this from other institutions as well, that these types of friendships last very, very long. And they come in handy sometimes when you suddenly realize that a person you shared the course with is now in a position somewhere where you need to contact that person in order to get something done. So this is a machinery that I think often shows its value only years after the course has finished. Well, first of all, we need to share notes about our understanding of the evolution of hybrid threats, so that we all sing from the same song sheet when it comes to developing responses. And then we need to look very carefully at what kind of responses are feasible. And once we've sorted that out, then we should look at which of the actors is the right actor to implement a certain tool. And we find more and more on hybrid, the more we learn about hybrid, that for example, the legislative power of the EU or the economic power of the EU is a very important ingredient for a more holistic approach to resilience against hybrid threats. NATO has mainly military tools, which is a bit of a problem, because hybrid, by definition, is trying to get underneath the threshold of a military attack. But by being closer together with the EU, we can discuss together which tools to apply in which particular scenario. And I think we're now coming to the point where we also do parallel and coordinated exercises, where we have staff-to-staff talks on hybrid, where we have one center of excellence in Helsinki that is working on hybrid and is open for both NATO and EU members. So we are slowly but surely getting there. I think the first is indeed institutions today cannot be islands. They have to work together. Otherwise, we will never get to the full array of tools that we need to cope with today's security challenges. The second is NATO and EU are very different. Some of their memberships do not overlap, and this will continue to create problems. But we need to find ways to work around these problems.